So today we're working on my 39-year-old Yamaha FG420-L. Just taking a look at the frets. It's a 39-year-old guitar, so there's never been any real work done to the frets at all. I have polished them, that is about it. But I went out and got myself a couple of files this week, and I'm not going to really go at them way too much, but I just want to get them in the area. I eventually want to get one of the big long leveling sanders and get it all redone that way. Whether or not it's worth it or not, some of these frets are very old and flattened out a bit. But anyways, we're just trying to get it into a spot that's usable. So I took my little flat edge here. You put it across 3 frets and try and rock it. And with the first one, there's a little bit high end on the outer edges of this here fret, so I've taken the file already and I've removed the tape because I'm moving it up as I go along. But there can still be a little bit taken off of the outsides of this here particular one, as you can hear by the little click. You might not be able to hear that. That little click there. So what we're doing is just trying to sand down a little bit. I'm only like doing about 10 runs and then wiping and double checking. So it's close enough there. There's a little bit of movement, but I'm good with that. So I've gone through a bunch of them. No click, no click. I'm starting doing the outside, middle, and far end. There's a little bit in the middle of that one that I can take off here. I'm trying to do very small adjustments. Yeah, see, that's just about completely got it gone. So, as I say, I've already gone over these pretty good now, up to this point. And I'm getting no clicking. There was 7th and 8th on the high end of this one that I had a little buzzing happening. So I have actually taken off a bit of the 7th and the 8th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the 8th, yes. On the low E. It's left-handed. Anyways, on the low E side. And everything is fairly well. There's like a little bit of rock there that I can probably take a little bit more off this outer edge. Now the problem with this is that I'm flattening the surface of the frets as well, so I want to try and take a little bit of an angle and just sort of crown it. I did get a crowning file, but these are so low now that the crowning file will just barely touch it. We're going to go over it again at the end with the crowning file anyways to see if that's going to help out any, but anyways, straight edge, make sure you cross against 3 frets, and then when you hear the clicking, that's where you want to do this filing. Now, as I say, I've only been doing a little bit light touch on it, and it was a lot less clicking there. So now if you're not comfortable with doing this, or you have a very, very expensive guitar, I would recommend that you see a luthier about it. This is kind of a rare guitar because it is an 85 Yamaha FG420, which means that it has the dove insignia on the headstock as opposed to the leaf. The Yamahas put the dove on there on 85 and 86. I believe Gibson had a little thing to say about having the dove on the headstock because they had a different, more accurate Dove insignia on some of their guitars, and Gibson, as you know, is rather pertinent about keeping their things their things. So I'm going to give this one a little bit more. As I say, I'm going over them about 10 swipes back and forth, and then wiping down and checking again. Good. This one can take just a touch more. Yes. We're also going to dress up the ends a bit, just to make sure that we have no sharp edges. There's some sharp edges up in this end, way up high, but I don't ever play up in there anyways. I'm probably just going to run the file over it just to keep from really sharp edges, but I'm not going to worry too much about them. Bore down in here, I play up about as far as the 12th fret usually. There's a little edging on that one, which let's just check it out and see how this works. You really should tape it off, but I'm using my finger as a guide because I'm just doing this one. And yeah, that's much better, much better. The reason you tape it off is so that you don't file the fretboard, which is why I'm using my thumb as a guide. Yeah, that's going to be wonderful when I'm done. Took me 39 years to catch on to this part, eh? But there again, for 39 years, I just played. I did not adjust. I never did the truss rod or anything for like 30 years on this one. So, and it was really high, which probably contributed a little bit to my carpal tunnel, but hindsight, eh? That's why I do these videos. And that's why every one of my guitars has extremely low action. Okay, now we're going to just go over them one more time, check everyone out, see how I feel about it. Now I'm just using painter's tape on there. I'm being very careful. But the painter's tape has taken some of the oil that I put on the fretboard last week off, so we'll probably give it another little juice before we put it away. Okay, let's go over the whole thing, top to bottom, and do the rocker. Make sure that everything's good enough to be passable. So now we've got them all fairly level. There is still a little bit of click here and there, but nothing much. So there, now we've done that part. Next thing we're going to do is take this file and just do the edges of the frets, just to kind of give them a little bit more of a, like they are coming up, going flat and down the other side. We want it to be as narrow as possible on top. So we've got the depth right. Now we just want to get the edge right. Now we're just going to touch up the very ends, the parts that need it. As you can see, I'm using my thumb as a guide. Just to keep the file off of the fretboard itself. I also find when you're just testing them out afterwards, sometimes if you close your eyes and feel, you're going to feel more. Don't know why, don't care. It just works. Okay, so there we have it. Now I just removed the tape, gonna oil up the board a bit, and we're gonna check it out, see how it feels, see if we get any buzzing anywhere. One quick look over to make sure that any of the ones that are completely flat on top have a bit of a bevel to them. As usual, we get ourselves some t-shirt material, something nice and soft, cut off all the hems, seams. You do not want any of that on there, because some of the hems and seam threads that they use are supposed to be a lot stronger, so they'll be a nylon or something, and there's a slim chance that they could scratch your surface. The tape that we use to tape off the frets, the adhesive in the tape basically removed any oils that were in the wood. It like just sucked them right out. So we are going to re-oil the fretboard. The oil is always slow to come out, so we get the oil flowing on the upper frets that aren't used that much. So now when the oil is coming out quickly, more generously, we are doing the frets down where we actually play. Try and get it to soak right into the grain. Make sure we get full coverage. And wipe it in. So now I've gone over it again, went through 2 times with the oil, just to make sure that we get a good solid coat on there, in there. And now we're going to bring it back up to tune and see how our frets did. And the action, the height. At the 12th fret, 1.75. So it's good at that end. On the fat E, we're about 1.75. 1.75, people usually go around 2 millimeters. 1.75, that's considered low as far as I'm concerned, but that's where I set my guitars anyways. So 1.75, that might give me some buzzing. There again, I don't play with a pick, so I don't usually really strum hard or anything. So let's try it again. Okay, so I found my first problem. There's a little burr on the second fret of the low high E. So let's yeah. And so there we have it. Went over them. Might still have to dress a bit of these corners here and there, but very much pleased with it. Thank you for watching. That is just a minor fret dressing and leveling. As I say, it wasn't a major leveling. That has yet to happen. It might need a refret. This is a 39-year-old guitar. These here are very much worn down, which has given me a little bit of buzzing, but as I say, I don't use a pick. I use my fingers most of the time, so it doesn't really matter. And so, there we have it. My 39-year-old Yamaha